tried to warn y'all 4 years ago. You're listening now, ain't ya? Cause Democrats are so yesterday. Everybody get your ass on the dance floor. Shake it cause we're bringing Donald Trump back in 24. All the haters to the left, you ain't cool no more. Better pack your bags, we're bringing Trump back in 24. Goodbye, Joe, it's time you hit the road. Sayonara and a quote, it's Trump time, baby. Goodbye, Joe, it's time you hit the road. Sayonara and a quote, it's Trump time, baby. So FJB, we want DJT, singing 1, 2, 3. This is Trump time, baby. FJB, we want DJT, singing 1, 2, 3. This is Trump time, baby. Uptown, downtown, everywhere you go, it's Trump town. Uptown, downtown, everywhere you go. Uptown, downtown, everywhere you go, it's Trump town. Uptown, downtown, everywhere you go.
When Trump got shot, I was like, Lord knows, it wasn't his time to go. You can try that shit in a small town, but you won't try that shit in Trump's town. JD Vance, I salute you. It's a MAGA nation revolution.
Good morning, everybody. Very nice to see you again. You are watching on the Smart Money Culture TV network, as well as joining around the world on X and Rumble and YouTube and Facebook and all the rest of them. It is always a pleasure to be here with you today. We are looking at the markets and the political situation that we have around the world. It is pretty crazy what we have going on here. I am just now moving some of this stuff around here. At what we have going on. So we have the markets have been in a complete and total meltdown, right? I mean, the stock market lost like $1 trillion yesterday. You saw guys like Soros and these guys moving a lot of stuff into cash. It was fairly predictable that it was coming. Doesn't mean it won't bounce back. We are going to look a bit more. We'll dive into a bit more into the markets. Trump's sentencing. Trump is going to be sentenced for this so-called hush money case, the New York hush money case, which is kind of funny that they call it the hush money case, but whatever. So he's going to be sentenced on September 18th. And I'll tell you what, guys, I think to me, this is a pretty big deal. Say what you want. I think it's a big deal. I think that they are probably going to sentence him to jail time. I don't think that they came all of this way in order to not sentence him to jail. I mean, right? I mean, why? They've done everything else in the world to ensure that he is taken off of the ballot and removed and is no longer a threat. It seems a little bit far-fetched that they're going to stop before putting him in jail. So I think that probably Trump's going to go to jail. And you have of course, the Congress is absolutely useless. They actually don't work for us at all. And actually, there was somebody, Vivek, said this very well. So I'm going to play this clip, actually, because Vivek said it better. Well, I say it all the time, but it's always good to third party it. Vivek said what I've been saying all this time, and that's that the elected representatives do not run the government. Let's tune in here what he says.
The hard reality in American politics today is the people we elect to run the government, they're not even the ones actually running the government. It's the puppet masters underneath and around them, unelected bureaucrats and the managerial class. And so in some ways, I do think it's to give Kamala Harris too much credit when we say she's a communist or a socialist. That gives her too much credit because I don't particularly think that she has an ideology at all. She's another cog in the system. We're not running against a candidate. We are running against a machine. And when Donald Trump said in 2016 he wanted to go in and drain the swamp, what it means is we want to go in and dismantle that machine. So we have self-governance again in this country. Biden's cognitive deficits, Kamala's policy deficits, those are not a bug. Those are a feature for the people who actually manage them. That's the sad state of American democracy today, Jesse. And I think the more we see that, the more likely we are to succeed. The hard reality in American politics today is the people we elect.
And it's important what he just said, that, and actually my friend John McAfee said it as well, that the people that are in charge, the people that run the country, are not the people that we elect. Of course, the people that we elect are totally beholden to the central bank and APAC and everybody else who put them in there. One and the same, really. But the people that are in charge are the people, and John McAfee said it a little bit different. John McAfee said that the people in charge are the ones, so the elected people, they make the laws, and then the people underneath them make the regulations of the laws. And the regulations are actually probably more important than the laws, because that's how everything gets enforced. So the enforcement, the regulations. And actually, you can see in Brazil what's happening with the judge over there. I mean, the judge, now they're moving now to impeach this guy. We'll see. There's a couple of senators have ganged up, and now they're going to try to impeach this guy. But he is basically the dictator of Brazil. I mean, this guy he's in control of Brazil. The judge, he's the most powerful man there. And so he's the one that's pulling the strings over there. They're going to try to impeach him. But our judges that we have in this country that we've allowed to be, in these lifetime positions, they are, yeah. I mean, you got all these cabal members. I mean, these people are part of the cabal. So, but those people, these are the people that are ruling the government, this layer, this administrative state, I call it the administrative. I'm not the first one to call it the administrative state. The deep state, the administrative state, those are the people that are actually running the country. So interesting stuff. Because I'll tell you what, that is, replacing all of those people. You can't even hardly fire those people. You can't. But of course, the problem is, salutations, my friend. The problem is that once anybody gets into office, nobody wants to be the guy that fires everybody. You don't want to be the person that fired everybody and nobody has a job anymore, right? Yeah, that's not very popular. You want to be the job's president. And that's what they all want to be. So once they get in, of course, they don't want to fire anybody. And it's a big, big problem. So we'll see. I'll tell you what, I am not on the optimistic side that we are going to be able to get Trump in. I will say this, that I talked to some friends who really cannot stand Trump. They can't stand him. I mean, they do not like the guy, but they're going to vote for him. And so that is kind of encouraging, I will say. But the fact of the matter is that it's not a vote. Like, we're voting, but the other side is rigging. Okay? And so, like, we're playing by the rules, but they're not. And so how are you supposed to beat a bunch of people who aren't playing by the rules? How are you supposed to beat people like that? And so you have guys like what's his face, the tall guy there, Scott Pressler, who's a friend. He's a friend of mine. I know him. For a friend is a loose term, but him and I know each other for a long time. And he's doing a fantastic job and going around and basically ballot harvesting, right? And then at that point, I mean, it wouldn't say that we're trying to cheat better than the cheaters, but I mean, ballot harvesting is supposed to be illegal. I mean, that was always illegal when I was growing up. Ballot harvesting was illegal, but I guess it's not anymore. But again, we're trying to beat them kind of at their game. And I'm not saying that Scott Presler's doing a bad job. He's absolutely doing a fantastic job. Hats off to him. He's doing God's work. But it's hard to because then when you go back to who has the jobs of the the unelected officials, then let's talk about that on a local level. You have these people while you're running around trying to make sure that you can put food on the table and feed the family. You have other people that are, taking these positions inside even local government, and they don't have maybe the same values as you do, and they want to make sure that their guy wins at all cost, that their guy wins, because of course we're so bad. It is interesting. I just people are way off base in a lot of things. I mean, I see my friends, they get the the rainbow flag up, and I mean, they're not rainbow anyway. What do you got the rainbow flag up for? I mean, I don't know. It's just weird. You got kids. Come on. You want your kids to be that way? I mean, fine, do whatever you want, but like, we're in a population collapse right now. Elon Musk is like sounding the alarm over and over again. Like, we need to have more kids, or else we are in trouble. We have population collapse is the most thing that he is the biggest thing that he's worried about. Civilization will crumble, he says. I'll play this clip real quick. This is the great Elon Musk. It's hard to tell sometimes what is Elon and what's not Elon. There's so many fake ones out there, but this one appears to be him.
I can't emphasize this enough. There are not enough people. And I think one of the biggest risks to civilization is the low birth rate and the rapidly declining birth rate. And yet so many people, including smart people, think that there are too many people in the world and think that the population is growing out of control. It's completely the opposite. Please look at the numbers. If people don't have more children, civilization is going to crumble. Mark my words.
Mark his words. The great Elon Musk. If we don't have more kids, civilization is going to crumble. I would like to have more kids. I probably will. I promised my dad I'd have a son. So it kind of plays into what the other part of I was talking about too, is this whole mixing AI robots, creating superhumans that live forever. How far are we from that? Well, I'll tell you what, guys, we are not far. As a matter of fact, I would venture to say that people like Slippy Dick Cheney is already kind of like that, right? He's got this like nano heart. He said the guy had like 8 heart attacks or something like that. I mean, something ridiculous. I mean, you can fact check me on that. I don't know. Maybe it's not 8. Maybe it's 3 or something. I have no idea. But so as we start to infuse AI and robotics into humans, we're going to start living longer and longer and longer. Right now, 116 years old appears to kind of be the age, right? So I've openly stated a number of times that my goal is to at least be 120. If people are living to be if people are already living to be 116, I probably need to up my number to 150. My plan is, though, when I get to 120, that hopefully the technology is advanced enough that I can infuse with some robotics and stuff too and keep living. I know some people say whatever about it. I want to keep living. I feel like I want to travel the stars. I want to do all these types of things. Okay. I feel like humans we're supposed to, God said, be fruitful, multiply, subdue the earth. Well, we're subduing the earth. Now we need to go on to the other places. Oldest people in the world, validated age of place of birth, and the oldest living people in Tomiko, Ituka. This is my homeland. Just kidding. Never heard of that place. 116 years old and 95 days. You have in Ina Kanabara, Lucas, 116 again, 79 days. Oh, these are the names of the people. Okay, so that the first one I think is Japan or Japan. I think that's their. And then the next one's Brazil. Okay, and then we have Elizabeth Francis. She's 115 years old in 32 days. She's in the U.S. We have Ethel Caterham. She's in the UK, 115, 5 days. You have Okagi Hayashi. She's 114 years old, 359 days. Okay. 365 days in a year. I just wondered how this close. Charlotte Kretschmann, she's 114 and 267 days. She's in Germany. We have Hisako Shirusha, 114 years old. I said that wrong. I apologize, Hisako. 99 days. And then Marie Rose Tesser, 114 days and 114 years and 97 days. So indefinite life is coming. It's not far off. Legends never die. Sir David Porter. You're right. Legends never die. Well, I guess you and I are going to live forever then, brother. Cheers to that. Cheers to that. Ha, 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 ha. David, my brother, my trusted brother there. He's doing some really great stuff right now. So, yeah. So the object here, guys, is to live and have a bunch of kids. You know, this guy, Pavel Durov, that just got arrested over in France, part and parcel of the monetary revolution. He has over 100 kids. That's like king stuff. 100 kids. I would love to have 100 kids. It's like another life goal. So I wanted to live to be at least 120 and have 100 kids. Well, my wife's going to love this show. The way he did it was he donated to sperm banks. And then they told him that they said at least 100. And then he put his genetics publicly online so that when the kids ever want to, they can find him. Pretty interesting, right? Over 100 kids. Elon Musk joked with them and said, that's nothing. Genghis Khan, had thousands or something like that. Genghis Khan. Oof. That guy, he, but guys, like, so we're going to infuse with these robots and AI. And that's really, we're going to start to live 200, 300. We're going to have people 200, 300 years old, 800 years old. That's, it's interesting because not only in the Bible did people live 500, 400, 500, 600, 800 years old. Okay. But in other old books, they also lived hundreds of years as well. So it's interesting that something happened that we don't live that long anymore, or we are not living that long now. And it does kind of play into the current powers that be, because they don't want you to live a long time. They don't want you to have a lot of kids, and they don't want you to be able to leave anything to them. That's another thing. I remember when my neighbor passed away here, sadly. She worked for the railroad forever, and she had a lot of stuff. And she had good money and everything. But the truth was that she didn't have much left after the state got done with her stuff. Even though she had a will and everything else, the state basically took about 50 to 70% of what she had, which is a crime in itself. It's a crime in itself. But they don't want you to have a legacy. They don't want you to be able to leave stuff for your kids. Now, there's ways around it. Of course, you can leave stuff in a trust and everything else, but common people don't know how to do that. I'm going to play the market report from the great Matt Dixon here. Matt Dixon, Sir Matt the Great. He had an appointment today. A recording from him. Let's see what he says about the markets. The markets have been melting down. Hopefully you're doing okay.
Good morning, Bruce. Morning, Impact Money viewers. I'm recording this a little bit early because I've been doing some in-depth analysis trying to compare different asset classes. So I've looked at the traditional stock, S&P, Dow, etc. I've looked at the FX markets, in particular the pound sterling and the Japanese yen against the dollar. they're very, very important. Also, we can also think about the euro against the dollar. They're all interrelated and have a big impact. Then, of course, we're looking at crypto. So first of all, I'm just sharing a chart. I've shared a similar chart before, looking at Bitcoin and gold. And this is a relatively long-term chart going back to the beginning of 2023. So best part of 2 years now. And you can see the approximate correlation between Bitcoin and gold there. So there's been a general rise overall between both of them. And you can see there's some similarity between those charts. The divergence actually really appears. I mean, there've been a couple of times of divergence. So this is why correlations are useful, but they're not the be all and end all because they can break down. So for example, we got a general rise. This is just looking at where it's from. This is from the FTX low for Bitcoin. So that was actually November 22, wasn't it? So from around that time, we can see there's a general rise in Bitcoin and a similar general rise in gold. We saw Bitcoin actually really continuing to rise more. We got a very slight pullback, but continuing to rise in general more than gold. And it's only when we got to the all-time high really for Bitcoin, which is here at about just around 74,000, that gold hadn't really caught up. But then gold started to play catch up and actually overtook and went to new all-time highs, whereas Bitcoin has been consolidating ever since that all-time high that we saw back earlier this year. So that 74,000 seen nothing but pretty much sideways. This is what I would normally call a bull flag type formation. Basically, you've got the flagpole here, you've got the flag waving in the wind. The price is actually going nowhere. It's just slightly downward. It looks pretty much like a flag waving in the wind. And you would expect at some point to break higher. Now, this has really tested and tried the patience of traders because we're all, especially in the crypto world, we all expect things to happen quickly. And this has been now a long time in consolidation. Everybody's waiting for this new all-time high for Bitcoin. Now, we've seen it in gold, and maybe that's also some of the frustration that we are seeing new highs in gold. The percentage movements, the volatility in gold is much less than Bitcoin. You can't really see that from this chart. But if you look at the percentage gains, obviously from the 15,000 low on Bitcoin to 74,000 and so on, even to 60,000 where we are about now, you're looking at 4 times, whereas gold has risen, you know, from the same period from 1900 and something, in fact 1969, to 2,500. So in percentage terms, maybe 25% as against 400%. So big difference in volatility, but it still is important to look at these correlations. And I also really like to look at correlations with FX. As I've said, there is quite a correlation, certainly between the pound against the dollar, and then if we look at Bitcoin against the dollar, there's quite a good correlation there. I haven't got that chart up today. I might possibly put it up just to see, but I was more interested in looking at the yen and the carry trade there, and the sell-off of the carry trade, the unwinding of the carry trade that we had. But anyway, just to sort of finish on this chart here, as I say, this is very much a consolidation. It's really testing our patience, but I think it will be a mistake to actually turn our back on it and lose our patience. Yes, we can still go lower. This is actually using a wave basis chart. It's an automated Elliott wave count. And interestingly, it's got for Bitcoin from this low point here, it's actually got, it labeled that, by the way, as a wave 1 up, 2 down. And it's talking about moving up in wave 3, which would be massive, absolutely massively bullish, major new highs, probably well above the 100,000 if this is the correct count. There are various settings you can have on wave basis. I've got it on a neutral setting at the moment, but the neutral setting is giving us a really bullish outlook for Bitcoin. And from that wave 2 bottom there, we have basically a wave 1 up in orange and a wave 2 down. And the wave 3 target, the next move up in the next wave on this cycle will be around that 85,000 mark. And that's actually is, you know, I've long been talking about that personally, that is a sensible next target for Bitcoin. And I have said it can go way beyond there. I mean, if that's wave 1, 2, and we're expecting wave 3 there, I think that is just a normal 1.618 extension. We could get way beyond that, 2.618 or 4.236 or even more. So lots of potential for upside, but I believe the minimum upside, the minimum I would expect would be around that 85,000 mark, which it shows in the orange box there. That's the target for the next wave higher. And don't forget, that is just at what degree is that? Cycle degree. So there are much larger degrees. That's just in the orange. So if we were to look at the pink, that basically is super cycle degree. Pink would take us much, much higher again. In fact, what I'll do, I'll just scroll down to show where the pink might take us. Don't know if it's even going to show us. Yeah, it's not showing us at the moment, but the pink cycle would take us massively high, as I say, well above the 100,000 mark for the Bitcoin. Gold, of course, is in a slightly different cycle. It's still in an impulsive cycle higher. So this is impulsive. What it means is the movement down is ABC. So we can see ABC here. That's against the trend. The trend is higher, and that's labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So we expect much higher. So we've got here in orange, that is super cycle degree, remember. We're basically working, that's wave 2. We're working on a wave 3 to the upside, which would take us massively higher. And if we look on gold, it's a slightly different picture there. We're looking here at cycle degree, which is a lower degree than super cycle. And we're wave 3 there. We're working on wave 4 down. It's actually showing, and again, this is quite a nice program. Good morning, Bruce. Morning, Impact Money viewers. I'm recording this a little bit early because I've been doing some in-depth analysis, trying to compare different trade that we had. But anyway, just to sort of finish on this chart here, as I say, this is very much a consolidation. It's really testing our patience, but I think it will be a mistake to actually turn our back on it and lose our patience. Yes, we can still go lower. This is actually using a wave basis chart. It's an automated Elliott wave count. And interestingly, it's got for Bitcoin from this low point here, it's actually got, it labeled that, by the way, as a wave 1 up, 2 down. And it's talking about moving up in wave 3, which would be massive, absolutely massively bullish, major new highs, probably well above the 100,000 if this is the correct count. There are various settings you can have on wave basis. I've got it on a neutral setting at the moment, but the neutral setting is giving us a really bullish outlook for Bitcoin. And from that wave 2 bottom there, we have basically a wave 1 up in orange and a wave 2 down. And the wave 3 target, the next move up in the next wave on this cycle will be around that 85,000 mark. And that's actually is, you know, I've long been talking about that personally, that is a sensible next target for Bitcoin. And I have said it can go way beyond there. I mean, if that's wave 1, 2, and we're expecting wave 3 there, I think that is just a normal 1.618 extension. We could get way beyond that, 2.618 or 4.236 or even more. So lots of potential for upside, but I believe the minimum upside, the minimum I would expect would be around that 85,000 mark, which it shows in the orange box there. That's the target for the next wave higher. And don't forget, that is just at what degree is that? Cycle degree. So there are much larger degrees. That's just in the orange. So if we were to look at the pink, that basically is super cycle degree. Pink would take us much higher again. In fact, what I'll do, I'll just scroll down to show where the pink might take us. Don't know if it's even going to show us. Yeah, it's not showing us at the moment, but the pink cycle would take us massively high, as I say, well above the 100,000 mark for the Bitcoin. Gold, of course, is in a slightly different cycle. It's still in an impulsive cycle higher. So this is impulsive. What it means is the movement down is ABC. So we can see ABC here. That's against the trend. The trend is higher, and that's labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So we expect much higher. So we've got here in orange, that is super cycle degree, remember. We're basically working, that's wave 2. We're working on a wave 3 to the upside, which would take us massively higher. And if we look on gold, it's a slightly different picture there. We're looking here at cycle degree, which is a lower degree than super cycle. And we're wave 3 there. We're working on wave 4 down. we're working on wave 4 down. It's actually showing, and again, this is quite a nice program, shows the expectation for gold price. It's expecting a little bit lower in this correction to move down towards that orange, brownish orange box, a bit lower, which would still be upper 2400 levels, so not much lower, before the next movement to the upside for gold. But this is a lower cycle degree, so we may be a little bit nearer the peak on gold than we are on Bitcoin, according to this. But either way, whichever you look at, they've both got new all-time highs to come. So that's quite encouraging. I'll go on to my normal charts very quickly here. Here's dollar yen. Actually, I just mentioned about dollar yen. I'm looking here, excuse the charts jumping around, but I'm looking here at really long-term view back from 1978 all the way through to today, 2024. So you can see here. What I did, I looked at the low point here, and this was, around the just after the financial crisis. So what happened was, when you get financial crises like we had, for example, the dot-com boom and bust around the 2000 mark, we saw yen increasing, and that's what's known as the unwinding of the carry trade. So the carry trade is basically yen weakens and weakens and weakens because people borrow in yen and they invest in other currencies like US dollar assets, and that causes the yen to weaken and other assets strengthen against it. So they're investing in from yen, borrowing in yen, investing into risk assets. Now, when trouble hits the fan, putting that in a nice way, what happens is everyone has to repay those yen debts because these risk assets are falling in value. So they have to cash them in quick. Otherwise, they're going to be in big trouble because the yen is then rising in value as people start to pay money back into the yen from the risk assets. So it's a double hit. Basically, you're losing on risk assets which are falling in value, like the S&P stock markets, crypto, etc. When they're falling in value, at the same time, the yen is rising in value. So your debt is actually increasing because the yen is appreciating. Your debt is increasing, but your ability to repay that debt, your investment, is decreasing because the risk assets are falling. So it's a double whammy. And that's why these unwinding situations, the unwinding of the yen carry trade, are so aggressive. And we saw that recently with this little move down here, which doesn't look much on this long-term scale, but it's a very serious event. And when the markets do crash, whenever they crash, whenever that might be, you will see this massive unwinding of the yen carry trade. They say that this unwind here was less than half of the carry trade that there is. I don't know quite how they come to that conclusion. I would say it's probably a lot less than half of the carry trade. But anyway, it means there's still a lot of unwind still to come. So if and when the market does eventually crash, and there are some indications that it could be potentially end of this year, maybe into next year, spring of next year. We can't be sure of timing. For the time being, things are looking positive and bullish, but I'm just saying we need to be watching out for warning signs for end of this year, maybe early next year, that things are not all quite as they seem on the financial front, both geopolitically and macroeconomically. So we will just mention, I'll probably jump to my Twitter just to look at a couple of the economic data points that are very important for us. So just to summarize again here, from the bottom here, we've actually moved up. So this was a build-up of the carry trade as the yen devalues effectively. We're seeing money moving into risk assets out of yen, and you're seeing dollar yen going up here in value, up here in price. So we got this big unwind here. Now we'd have to look on a shorter time frame to see if that's complete, but at some point I'd expect a full resumption, a full unwind of this carry trade, a complete unwind, but that would be a very serious economic situation. It may or may not be yet. So what I did, I measured from here to here the magnitude of this wave here. I'll probably just show it so we can see there. I measured that one. I just transposed it to the bottom of the next wave. It gave the exact top of the next wave. That's nice. So that told us that there's going to be a sell-off there, which is precisely what happened. What I've then done is use that same measurement to the bottom of the next wave, and potentially this carry trade could continue to build up. So we could see a continued building or rebuilding of that carry trade, and that would align with good performance on stock markets and cryptocurrency. Now, I'm keeping all this kind of in the back of my mind to try and think where markets are going next. So if this yen carry trade does rebuild itself, that is positive risk assets, it's positive S&P 500. So what I'm going to do next is just jump to the S&P 500, and I'm going to scroll probably out right down to the 4-hour, I think, so we can see pretty well where we're at there at the moment on the S&P 500. Just open that out a bit so you can see what's what. So I believe that we've had from this all-time high on the S&P 500, we had a very clear A, a B, and a C to the downside. That's a correction. I think we're moving, whether the correction wave 4 is complete there or maybe somewhere over here, who knows. Impossible to tell with these corrections because, as I've said before, there's multiple variations of this. It could be, it's actually looking so far like 3 down, 3 up, and that would then be 5 down probably. Or it could be 3 down, 3 up, and 3 down. That would be either a WXY or it will be a flat correction, a 335 correction. So either way, it's a correction. It's a wave 4 correction. It shouldn't dip too much lower, I wouldn't think. There's normally some alternation between wave 2 and wave 4. Now, wave 2 was a very deep pullback in respect to wave 1. Wave 4 so far is looking like a shallow pullback in respect to the wave 3 here. So that's the alternation you would expect. Alternation in the actual form of the actual wave structure, which we have here. So you can see the sideways choppiness here, and we see a very sharp pullback here on wave 2. So this is very typical alternation between the wave 2 and wave 4. And because wave 2 was deep, we wouldn't expect wave 4 to be so deep. So wave 4 could either be complete or may have a little bit lower to go. But then we expect a wave 5 to take us higher again. And my expectation is that we may even reach, well, according to Elliott Wave here, the extensions, well, we'd have to actually, I'd have to see. It may actually go, that isn't correct there. We could, I was looking for the end of wave 3. Wave 3 was exactly 2 times wave 1. Okay, that's what I got that there for. So that was nice. Being exactly 2 times wave 1. So it doesn't tell me where wave 5 is going to go to. So my expectation is that wave 5 might take us to a very nice round figure on the S&P 500 of 6,000. 6,000 would be a very psychologically important level for the S&P 500. And putting the jigsaw pieces together, S&P 500 at 6,000 would equate very nicely with Bitcoin at maybe around the 100,000, 90, 100,000 mark, but would also correlate very nicely with dollar yen moving quite a bit higher as well. So they're all moving very nicely in parallel there. So overall, I'm still positive the markets. I just think we need to exercise extreme patience because, to be fair, these markets are really testing us, moving sideways a long time. So from the S&P, we just take a quick look at Bitcoin. We can see here, again, Bitcoin is really showing us a lot of there from what I've got labeled as wave 3, consolidation wave 4. I'm expecting some movement up in wave 5 that may or may not have already started. I suspect it has started, so I think wave 4 is complete here. I don't expect it to break here. There's a possibility it will break here, and actually the invalidation's a long way below because wave 1 was way down, long time back. So the invalidation's much lower, but again, like, I'll just scroll out probably onto the daily just to show you the rule of alternation yet again. We got a very shallow temporary wave 2 here, even if the wave 2 is a little bit longer and maybe it's to here. It's a shallow brief. It's very shallow, basically, a shallow wave 2. This is a deeper wave 4 already. So I think wave 4 has already, completed its rule of alternation. It is a very different waveform than wave 2. Also, very often, if this is from here, wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with an extended wave 5, for example, within the wave 3, then very often the wave 4 goes into or near to territory of the previous wave 4. And that's pretty much what it did here. So I think that this wave 4 actually is quite satisfying where it's finished here. I think there's a reasonable chance it's over, and I think that we potentially already started the move up. So we've basically got a WXY already complete, I think. Now we could get a more complex correction, but it's unlikely in my view. We could also count this as a triangle, if not WXY, where the E wave overshot. So either way, I think the correction for wave 4 is most likely complete. And now we're going to push up in wave 5 to the upside. New all-time highs, at least I believe. I think 84 is the next stopping point, maybe the next wave before we get a little pullback, but potentially much higher when we take into account the correlations with the other assets. So I'm not going to go on much longer, but just briefly look at gold here. Again, there's gold for us. We did have that hidden bearish divergence there where we've got a downward slope on the RSI peaks, an upward slope on the price peaks of gold. That was telling us a reversal to come. And if we scroll out just a little bit, so I'll probably go into 4 hours so you can see it clearer, we can actually see that we got a nice sell-off. So again, you could have traded that perfectly at every single divergence signal you got along the way with this line. You could have traded it. And again, here, you could have picked the top there or there quite nicely on gold. We're actually moving now towards oversold. We're not yet oversold, but towards oversold on the RSI. And that would give us room to maneuver much, a big move to the upside potentially for gold to take us to new all-time highs for gold. So again, that would probably align with S&P 500 moving to around 6,000, Bitcoin 90 to 100,000, and I think gold potentially quite a bit higher to go there. Again, we could be looking at 2,800 easily for gold. And gold, as we saw on the earlier chart, just on wave basis, has been diverging a little bit. It's been continuing to push higher. As I've said before, that actually reflects the uncertainty that we have on the economic and geopolitical front. There's still a massive uncertainty with Israel and surrounding nations. There's massive uncertainty with Russia. Russia actually just changed their policy on nuclear, on their use of nuclear, potentially in warfare. So these are all really worrying signs that could potentially blow up, and we, literally, maybe end of this year, maybe early next year. These are all bubbling away, and unfortunately, they're things that we need to keep our eye on. And be very, very careful with the trading. Make sure you got stop losses on, and make sure you're not overcommitted. So there's a bright future, I think, certainly in the near term, medium to near term, but I think we need to be very careful longer term. So hope that helps. Longer term look. We'll perhaps take another shorter term look tomorrow and focus on some more of those individual assets. Thanks very much for listening, and bye for now.
All right, folks. Now I have this echo in my thing because, of course, my camera stopped working on the other one, but I think I'm okay for you guys. I don't think I echo for you, which is it does create a little bit of thing for me, but that's okay. I can handle it. So pretty interesting. The markets that we have going on here, as Matt said, if you are trading in this market, make sure that you're well collateralized and that you have your stop losses and everything set up. Stop loss, even though that can really hurt your feelings sometimes, it can give you a chance to get in at a better price. So, if you start to have a little bit of profit, make sure you set your stop loss above your profit area. So even if it does stop out, that you at least take a little bit of profit. The most important thing, of course, is to protect your money there. Okay, protect the stack, but have it, and then if it goes lower, you can buy back in at a better price. Okay, so you have to take a little bit of the emotional part out of trading, and we're going to talk more about that as we move forward because it has been for us a very effective way in order to make money, and it would be nice if you guys are able to participate in that too. Now, one of the assets that I'm very long on, as you guys know, is Dalgo and as well Polka Gold. I mean, these two assets are really just killing it. Are killing it up the charts. And here's the thing. Right now, actually, as everything goes down, they go down. They have the locked liquidity, right? But these guys are working hard. They're working hard, and they're putting together these deals. I mean, you can now stake your Dalgo in people and make like over 100%, like 300-400% yearly yield farming. This is the Dalgo. Dalgo, of course, their meme coin. Polkadot started the Dalgo meme coin, and this is the gold standard algorithm of meme coin. And this is it, guys. And we're at like a 300 or 200,000 market cap. More liquidity than market.
Yeah, Dalgo is the meme killer. Cashing out with your thriller. House party lights all flashing. Pop a bottle, no relaxing. Flexing in the VIP. Bitches kinda feeling free. Thug life, we wildin' out. Nothing but that money cloud. Dalgo, we ballin' worldwide. Need money, we can't hide. Popping tags like it's FOMO. In the streets, no time for lows. Drink in hand, it's a vibe. Haters watching, trying to snipe. We bring the heat, no denying. In the club, Dalgo flying. Got my crew, yeah, we deep. Stacking sats, no time for sleep. Bitches dancing, feel that fire. Dalgo fam, we taking it high. Dalgo, we ballin' worldwide. Need money, we can't hide. Popping tags like it's FOMO. In the streets, no time for lows. Drink in hand, it's a vibe. Haters watching, trying to snipe. We bring the heat, no denying. In the club, Dalgo flying. Got my crew, yeah, we deep. Stacking sats, no time for sleep. Bitches dancing, feel that fire. Dalgo fam, we taking it high. Dalgo, we falling worldwide. Need money, we can't hide. Popping tags like it's FOMO. In the streets, no time for lows. Drink in hand, it's a vibe. Haters watching, trying to snipe. We bring the heat, no denying. In the club, Dalgo's flying. Got my crew, yeah, we deep. Stacking sats, no time for sleep. Bitches dancing, feel that fire. Dalgo fam, we taking it higher. New York City, we own the night. The Dalgo fam, we ready to fight. Meme lords, we taking over. Flip the script, we got the clover. All these hookers wanna front, but we grinding, never stunt. Dalgo making big moves. In the game, we got the groove. So raise your glass, let's toast to the ones who do the most. For the life we live in bold. Dalgo worldwide, watch it unfold. Dalgo, we ballin' worldwide. Need money, we can't hide. Popping tags like it's FOMO. In the streets, no time for lows. So remember the name is clear. Dalgo's here, bring the cheer. Need money, house party high. We the kings, watch us fly. So remember the name, it's clear. Dalgo's here, bring the cheer. Need money, house party high. We the kings, watch us fly.
That is our nation anthem. So I know it can be tricky as well to figure out how to buy these things. It is available on CoinStore as well. You can join CoinStore. You're going to @costbitcoin.club. Follow that link, and that will take you right there. Let me see here. @costbitcoin CoinStore. Where's that? CoinStore. You can also let's see here, CoinStore. Okay, fine. @cost Bitcoin. @cost Bitcoin. There we go. So those are you can go to @cost Bitcoin. You can get P Gold there. They don't have Dalgo there yet. P Gold there. You can also go to @costmetal.com, and that's where you buy gold, palladium, palladium, gold, silver, platinum, palladium at cost. Okay, you have to join the club there. It's like $150 to join, or $3.99 depending on which package they get. And but you should be getting yourself gold or silver every month. Not financial advice. These are highly speculative markets. I'm not a financial advisor. This is for entertainment purposes. And all that stuff I'm supposed to say. You are warned. And then you can buy crypto and other digital assets here at Cost Bitcoin, at costbitcoin.club. That'll forward you to my referral link at CoinStore. We are working on some other ones. Actually, Matt and I are really working on a lot of cool stuff, guys, in order that it gets to roll out here. We've been doing this show now since December of 2023. We're up on a year here. So over 9 months we've been doing the show. Well, 9 months doing the show. And a lot of exciting things coming up. As well, in a couple of weeks here, not even really, UN General Assembly starts on the 12th. Okay. And we have UN Blockchain Week. It's a little bit longer than a week, really. That is going on. UN Blockchain Week. So if you're in New York, there, plug into that. We have a bunch of different events that are going on over the UN General Assembly here in New York. A lot of important people in town. Obviously, blockchain is very important. They have their Agenda 2030. We're thinking of putting together Agenda 2040. And that's going to be Freedom Revolution. That's going to be the Freedom Revolution. And the Fed. Unseat the central bankers that are ruling this country. We have to end the Fed in order to do it, guys. There is no way forward as free people without ending the Fed. Talk about it all the time. It's so important. And, I talked about it the other day, but it was really interesting to hear one of the songs he plays and was talking about, come to the U.S., you can get whatever you want. You can get whatever. You can get free stuff. They were selling people free stuff the whole time. Free stuff. Free stuff. You can get a washing machine on credit. And credit's like margin trading, it's leverage buy, right? You don't pay the bill and they just take it all. So first of all, you pay way too much for everything. And since our whole society has basically been built on this credit system since the central banking cartel took over the country in 1930, it's one of the reasons everything's inflated into God only knows what. I mean, we pay so much for everything. Credit here, credit. Don't worry. We'll let you buy it. If anything goes wrong for the average person here, then they lose everything. They lose everything. And these are the people behind it. It's the usual suspects. They do this system in different countries all over the world for the last 2,000 years. And people at a certain point, they get upset about it. And there's usually some type of problem. Because the only thing that comes from this debt system is debt slavery. There is no other thing that can ever come of it. Like, that's it. And then people that are so in debt that they can't say end the Fed, or they can't speak out about politics, or they can't talk about this, or they can't talk about that. Why? Because they'll lose their job. And if they lose their job, what happens? They lose everything. The IRS and the central bank, the Federal Reserve, which is run by the owned and run by the central banking cartel. It is a cartel that rules the world. They're the ones that currently rule the world. These are the families that own the U.S. operation. The Rothschild stacks, I call it. We got the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Morgans, the Wahlbergs, Goldman Sachs, Lehman, Kuhn Loeb, Lazard, Israel Moshe, Schiff, and Stillman. Those families who own the Federal Reserve. And people say, oh, no, nobody owns the Federal Reserve. I beg your pardon. Do you think that those people started the bank and they don't own it? I mean, come on. Use your head. Of course, they own it. It's very stocks and warrants and this and that and the other. Of course, yeah, that's how they work. That's how they do it. But we have to end the Fed. There is no way forward as free people until we end the Fed. This credit system is an enslavement system. And what ends up happening is the creditor or the creditors, central banking cartel, ends up having more power than the government. And that's what's happened across the world. So I talked about it, how the EU fell. The EU was conquered at the turn of the century with the euro. They didn't realize it. Most of them didn't realize it. I didn't realize it. I was traveling around Europe. I didn't like the euro over because I could see everything more expensive. You didn't know why I didn't like it so much. It's a long time ago, right? 25 years ago. But I knew I didn't like it. Weird. There was always a sense of this overlord type of situation, I guess. And once they got onto the euro, then the European Parliament, the European regulators, right? Regulators, the ones who run like whatever his name is, what is his name? I'm sorry, bro. Was saying earlier, our elected officials aren't to actually run the U.S. Well, same over there. So then you have the regulators, and the regulators start to regulate. That's what they do. And now all these little countries that used to be free and have their own currency and everything else had to answer to this central authority, which was the central bank, the new governing power. And they did it. It was like so slick. I never saw anything like it. I guess it was probably slick back in 1913. I mean, they were slick about it. Dead of the night on December 23rd. Woodrow Wilson, of course, they bankrolled, the central banker bankrolled Woodrow Wilson, probably through the election as well. Who knows? Seems to be their style. Or, I mean, that's at least what we're experiencing now. I wouldn't say their style. I guess it's not fair. I don't know enough about it. It certainly wasn't around. But that's how the U.S. fell. But Europe fell to this central banking cartel that way. And now they're all in Europe. They all have regulations from Europe, from the European Union or whatever. They can't fish in certain places. They can't do this. They can't do that. They have they have to have their borders open. So that was the other thing about what the central banking cartel does. And you talk about why they do it. There's a lot of reasons to talk about why. Okay, why? But they like open borders. What they like borders? Every new person that comes in, more money, they can bond that person, and then they trade that bond on the market. So every new person that comes in, they have an excuse to get more money. That's the business they're in. They can like 3 to 5% of everything that they mint. They mint 100 billion, they make 3 to 5 billion. You can never pay off the national debt because we're not in control of the money. Which in our Constitution, nobody's supposed to be able to coin money except the federal government. But Woodrow Wilson sold out the government and put in the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve mints our money. The Federal Reserve is run by a shadowy cartel that rules the world. And this shadowy cartel that rules the world is currently making a trade with you, and they're telling you, and this is when we look at the rest of Pavel Durov and some of the other things going on. You don't get privacy at all. Your communications and everything, they're ours. You don't get anything. You don't get privacy. You don't get money. You don't get real money. You get just this paper stuff that they can inflate, take, whatever, freeze, everything else. You don't have freedom. But we give you safety. And that's their trade-off. That's what the central banking cartel is telling you. You can't have private communications. You can't have a girlfriend without us knowing, or a boyfriend. You are not allowed, you don't deserve to have anything private without them knowing. You invent something. You want to talk to somebody else about it. That communication, they have to have access to it. It won't last. We will stop it. I hope to stop it sooner than later. The way they're inflating everything right now, it could collapse. I mean, listen, I've been saying that the dollar is going to collapse for over a decade. So you know, they're good. They have a lot of tools in their shed to keep the dollar up. I mean, they can tax 335 million people as much as they want. They can tax you as much as they want. Speaking of tax you as much as they want, look at this. Look at this, and then I gotta go. But look at this because I gotta get the kids to school. But this is not sustainable. Oh wow! Well, a couple of things here. First of all, let me show this because this is also part of the deal. This guy got arrested in Ireland, and he got arrested because he didn't want them to continue to do the 12 gender stuff. The 12 gender cabal, I call them. Listen to this. Listen to this. This is what we're losing. The right to have our own country, to have freedom. Listen to these guys. I can't believe these officers. These guys should be ashamed of themselves.
I have a right to work here.
He has a right.
I have a right to be here. And
You're arresting
not
him.
to tell students they need to tell puberty blockers.
You're arresting him
Not
because
to
he
tell
won't
students
endorse
that they need to
transgender
take
Shame upon you.
Here at Wilson's Hospital School, senior clerk, teacher, being arrested for not accepting transgenderism.
Nor should I. And I'm not going to turn my back on my duty to my students.
I'm not going to turn back on my duty.
No, you don't have a duty to do what's wrong.
No, you never
And
have
to
a
bring me
duty
before
to
the
do
court.
Even
To
though
bring me
there's
before the
abuse
court.
inside those
No,
gates.
to bring me
Even
before the
Even though
court.
there's abuse.
This is a
Puberty
disgrace.
blockers.
Children are being
Puberty
taught
blockers.
to tell a young boy.
Surgery.
Yes, surgery, mutilation,
Yes.
mutilation,
It's a
And
disgrace.
suicide. An
mutilation,
An absolute disgrace.
mutilation.
An absolute
They're
disgrace.
telling a
Puberty
boy that
blockers.
he's gender neutral. Yeah, that he has to take chemicals. That he has to
That
take
is broken
chemicals.
no law.
That he
He
has
has
to take
broken no
chemicals.
law.
Be heavy-handed.
No, that he has to
He
take
has broken
chemicals.
no law.
I'm not going to be heavy-handed.
He has broken no law.
Shame upon you.
You have no right.
Shame upon you, Garvey. Shame upon you.
You've no right to
This
do
is my
this.
workplace. This is where I
This is
should
an
be.
innocent teacher,
And
a Christian man.
Has broken no
And
law.
I won't.
Shame upon you, Garda Síochána.
Mr. Burke has broken no law. He has broken no law.
I have a right to my job.
His
I have a right to work
constitution.
here.
He has a right.
I have a right to be here. And
You're arresting
not
him.
to tell students
You
they
won't
need to
promote
tell
puberty
puberty
blockers.
blockers.
You're arresting.
I gotta finish up the show here, guys. Who is behind the 12 gender? Who's the 12 gender cabal? Right? Who's behind all this gender crap? It's important for you to know. I'm not going to tell you right now. But who's behind it? It's really important for you to know. But that's that's what we've lost, and we have no control over our elected officials because the central bank is actually in control. I got to run. I'll be back on TVs in about 5 hours. Cheers.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.